Okay, welcome back to another edition of My Dream Team. We've got a bit of a different thing this week where we've asked a local legend, Chris Bunce, or Mr. Old Southendians, as you may know him, to pick a combined side from the Southend side of the park and the Old Southendian side of the park, and he's going to captain it. So, without further ado, welcome, Chris. So, first question.
Hi, Scott.
When did you make your debut for the Old Southendians?
When or where?
When? What year?
Well, most people were probably not even born when I made my debut. It was 1980.
1980. And can you remember where and who against?
I can remember where. It was at Tillingham, just out by near Burnham. And it was in 1980. And in fact, in September, I took my wife out for dinner on her birthday, and we managed to pop to Tillingham to have a look at the ground.
Who said romance?
A week after the end of the season. So that was quite nice. But nice. I hadn't been there. I hadn't been there since 1980, which was good.
Fair enough. So you've obviously played a lot of players over the years. When did you make your first team debut for Old Southendians?
First team debut was 1985 at the age of 15. And I can still remember the game. It was against a team called Eden Manor, who don't even exist anymore, I don't believe, up in London. And at 15 years of age, I was facing a guy called Don Shippey, who the older members of your club may remember, but he was a big West Indian chap and was the quickest bowler I've had faced at that time by quite a long way. I managed to hang around for a very slow 33, and it's funny the way these things sort of stay in your memory, but that was my debut, and it just carried on from there, and played every season since until this year. And
you've retired now?
I've decided to pack up at the end of the year, which I think most teams have had enough of me, so I was getting slower and slower, and the time's right for some youngsters to come in and take over, and I shall go and enjoy a few games of golf, but still obviously be involved with the club where I can be.
That's good. Okay, so on your 1 to 11, two openers, who are you pushing out the door to open for you?
So the two people I'm sending out to open, both Old Southendian players. A lot of your members will remember this chap who came over to Old Southendians in about 1999, I believe. South African, or Zimbabwean actually, but we got him from South Africa, and he ended up playing for us for 5 or 6 seasons. James Blackmore, left-handed bat, absolute quality batsman, hit the ball all around the park, but never looked in any hurry at all. So would just accumulate runs very, very at a nice rate. And just a consistent 700, 800, 900 runs a season chap. The only person I've seen score a league 200. Sorry, Scott?
Sorry, I was going to say, he turned up on our cricket tour in 2009, I think. Spearsy got him to play a game, scored 100, as
Fantastic.
You say. Yeah, just turned up, got 100, went home.
Yeah, he wasn't the best in the bar. Enjoyed a drink now and again, but his cricket was his main focus. The only person I saw score a league 200 in a game I played, so hadn't seen that from anyone else.
Nice.
But so he's definitely my number one. Obviously, having a left-hander at the top of the order is really useful.
And with him?
And then with him, Robert Johnston. Probably a lot of your members wouldn't know Robert Johnston as Robert Johnston, commonly known as Wobbly.
Yeah.
Most people know Wobbly in local cricket over the last 15 to 20 years. I was captain when he first came into the side at the age of about 16. Was a bit of a rabbit in headlights when he first played. His first game was up at Brentwood. When Brentwood were in, I think we were being in Division 1 at the time, and it was against Brentwood. And he certainly found out what first team cricket was about quite quickly.
Yeah, that's funny.
When he came off, he was black and blue. But he proved to be a really, really good Really, really good bat. Hit the ball along the ground an awful lot, but was equally as good behind the stumps. But because he's opening the batting, I haven't got him down as my wicketkeeper.
Yeah, okay. That's a good opening pair. As you say, a bit of variety, left, right hand, different areas.
Yep.
So that's good. Okay, and number 3 we'll move on to.
Number 3 was a guy who, again, joined Old Southend and Southchurch in the mid-90s. Again, as an overseas player, but we struggled to get rid of him even more than James Blackmore. He stayed with us for, I think it was 9 or 10 seasons in the end. I think you'll remember him, Scott, a guy called Des Beckett.
Yeah, I met him once, I think. A brute of a man.
Yeah, he was a big old guy, Des, but a heart of gold, fantastic club member, would do anything for anyone. And the club wasn't as good a place when, unfortunately, he ended up being asked to leave the country for some reason.
Oh, right, okay.
Because he'd outstayed his welcome. He actually got married and ended up having to leave the country because his visa had expired, which was a real shame because, as I say, he got married and was paying his taxes, but he just didn't do his paperwork properly, which has meant he hasn't been able to come back. But he was, as you say, a brute of a man and a destructive batsman on his day. The sort of guy that if you didn't get him out before he got 10 and settled in, you were in trouble. And he would score runs very, very quickly by just hitting the ball out the park.
I see. Yeah, the word I got given to me twice when I asked 2 people about Des's batting was animal.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
With the bat, nothing personal, but yeah, as a batsman, destructive batsman. Good bloke to have.
Yeah, it was always very good. Always very good being at the other end to him because you just had no pressure in having to score quickly.
Okay, and number 4.
Number 4 is myself.
Yourself, good.
So I'd be batting 4 in that lineup just because I'm captain, and as captain I bat where I want. So I'd put myself number 4. In reality, probably a toss up. I could probably bat anywhere in the top 6 or 7, and would bat where the side needed me at the time. But I would start at 4 and might work my way down depending on
how well it was going,
on conditions.
Okay.
Yeah. So at 4 would be myself, and then at 5 the first Southend player.
We'll come on to 5 in a minute, Chris. So when you got the fixtures at the start of the year, was Southend the one you looked for?
If they were in the same league as us, obviously it was always more competitive when they were, and I always enjoyed playing games against Southend. I think there's probably a lot of people who think that we actually hated each other, as in clubs, but I don't believe that. I think we had a healthy rivalry, and I certainly enjoyed a beer after the game with all the Southend guys, as whether it be in our clubhouse or in the Southend clubhouse. Yeah,
that's what I was going to say. But I played a couple of first team games against you, and they were quite feisty. Nothing crossed the line. But both teams would always have a beer in the ground it was played on. Probably 2 pints and go back to yours. I said, nothing was ever carried over. Nothing crossed the line. I didn't think. It was hard cricket, but as you say, friendly afterwards, as it should be.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that I certainly miss a little bit. I think the social side in cricket these days has certainly changed due to the length of the game and the time that you're away. The length of the game's got longer, in my opinion. We used to start at 2:00 years ago. We now, games are starting at 12:30 now, and I think that has had a big effect on the social side. But I'm a great believer in, you have these relationships with clubs, and the cricket's hard on the field, but afterwards you enjoy a beer.
Yeah, no, I agree. So on to 5 now.
So on to 5, probably I would think, looking at my side, certainly comfortably the youngest member of the side. And it's someone that I played against in the latter part of my career. Southend player, joined them from Hadley probably 8 or 9 years ago.
2013.
I think, unfortunately, has now left Southend. I don't know whether that's true. Gone to
Yeah,
Westcliff, is that right?
Yeah, he has. Yeah.
So that that's sad because at least he showed some loyalty there. But I thought this lad was an exceptional talent, both with bat and ball, and to have in the middle order of any side would is good for any side. So yeah, Joe Robbins would be my number 5. Just again another destructive batsman, a little bit like Des Beckett. From what I've heard and what I've seen, again, you need to get him out early.
Yeah.
Because if he stays in for that, for 5 or 10 overs, he's going to score runs very, very quickly. So if he gives you a chance early on, you've got to take it. But a quality player, and still only young, he's still got his probably better years as a batsman to come. So it's a big loss for Southend Cricket Club, but I'm sure you'll see him score lots of runs on the local scene over the next few years.
I don't doubt that. Yeah, good cricketer, good guy as well. Good round.
Yeah, really family. Yeah, are we gonna talk about bowling on these people a little bit later? Because
yeah, we'll come to your
in my side. We're obviously talking batting, but I've picked a lot of all-rounders.
Well, I think when you get cricketers at that level, there's very few who just can do one. Most can bat and bowl.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Of course, yeah.
Is your number 6 a batsman or another all-rounder?
So number 6 is a guy who's was certainly a stalwart for Southend for probably 10 of the last 15 years, maybe a few more. But a good bat, hit the ball very hard. So it's Ben Watham. Played a lot of cricket against Ben in the days where there was some real healthy rivalry when both clubs were doing quite well. And on his day, yeah, he could be really destructive. Probably would have scored more runs if he didn't bowl as well. But yeah, really destructive player. And what I liked about Ben was he was hugely competitive. Again, didn't mind upsetting the opposition, but generally off the field afterwards, it was all forgotten. And yeah, you could always enjoy a beer in the bar afterwards with him.
Yeah,
and it's a shame really that he sort of packed up so early. I know he had some injury problems, but he probably packed up before his prime batting wise.
Yeah, we'd like to get him back to play when we can. And as you say, one of the biggest examples of white line fever, Ben, isn't he? Like you say, cross the line, complete pain in the backside. But then once the game's finished, nicest bloke in the world, really.
Yeah, absolutely.
I guess when there's rivalry, he was probably at the forefront of a few words and.
I always used to enjoy, and certainly we'll get onto his bowling a little bit later, but we had some really, really good battles over the years, and as I say, the mark was only overtrodden in my eyes occasionally, but it was all quickly. He's one of those characters you can't but like, really, can you?
No, that's right. Yeah, spot on.
Sefford. Well, just to guarantee a run out in the side, I thought I'd better pick his father. I'm going to hope that they don't bat together, because I think it would always be a problem running between the wickets with your father, because I used to have all sorts of trouble. But his dad would be my vice captain, a really, really good, experienced team player. You'd want him in front of you when you're going into battle, because whenever Steve come out to bat, he would, in my mind, always be the wicket that you wanted. If you could get him out early, it would almost send a shiver through the rest of the side. And I played a lot of cricket against Steve, and every time we seemed to play against each other and you'd have Southend in a bit of trouble, he'd always come out and get a 45 or a 50 and put you back under pressure. Just a difficult person to remove, and just, again, would accumulate runs quite easily all around the ground. But more of an 80s and 90s player that I played against, rather than I don't think I ever played with him and Ben in the same side.
Would you say he was totally different to Ben on the pitch?
Yeah, he was a gentleman.
Chalk and cheese.
Yeah, chalk and cheese, but both of them great in their own way. I've just got something written down here. I've got for Steve, Mr. Reliable, and you could always rely on him. And Southend Cricket Club, he was a brilliant servant for you for many, many years.
Yes. Okay, so number 8 for you. Is this your keeper?
This is my keeper. I don't think a lot of your guys will know this guy, but he played for Old Southendians for about 10 years.
Okay.
There's a guy called Dave Johnston. We used to call him Yorkie. Came down from Yorkshire, from Pudsey, St Lawrence.
Okay.
Moved into the area early 90s. Probably played through to about 2000, 2001 maybe. But was a real quality wicket keeper. Only a small, slender guy, but brilliant hands, and a useful bat. Really useful bat. Would often, score you 30 and 40 down at 7, 8, 9, 10, which would, help you get to a total or help you win a game. The issue with Dave was that he preferred his drinking to his cricket, so it was very difficult to get him out the bar to play games on occasions. And in the end, I think he, that's what led to him retiring from cricket. He preferred to be down the pub on a Saturday than out there in the middle, which was a real shame. But he now lives back in Yorkshire. I've lost touch with him really, but a really good servant for the club. I think he was skipper for about 6 months at one point for one season. But yeah, a really good batsman, wicket keeper.
And you need a good keeper with these bowlers as well. So
yeah, you would. And the great thing about Dave was he was fantastic standing up. And with the side I've picked, I need a wicket keeper that can stand up.
Yep. It's okay. So number 9 we're on to now. Number
9. I described this bloke as a nuisance. If anyone knows him now and bumps into him in the town, a lot of the time you wish you'd turn the other way and hidden, because certainly when you meet him and he's had a drink, he can be a pain in the neck. But Riff Buter, probably one of the best spinners in local cricket for a long period of time. Played for Westcliff, played for Southend for a long time, and also played a couple of years with Old Southendians. I capped him. Riff was always good to have him in the side. He used to really wind the opposition up to a point where he used to get wickets where batsmen have almost blown their top because of what Riff would say to them. And he was a good person to have on your side, but hard work to play against.
Yeah, I was going to say you've got some combative cricketers in your lineup. You have to be a bit of a diplomat captain in these, Chris, I think.
Yeah, I did say that to you, didn't I, beforehand, that it'll be an interesting side to captain him. But yeah, Riff always scored useful runs as well down the order. You could always rely on him to get, play the game to the conditions. So if you needed someone to score a few quick runs, he could try and do it. If you needed someone to hold an end up to play for a draw, he was always very, very useful down the order.
Left arm spinner, wasn't he?
Yes.
Left arm. Another base covered.
You caught me there. I was left arm spinner, and he didn't turn. He did turn the ball, but he would often not turn the ball to get wickets.
Yeah.
So he was a clever bowler, Riff, always. It was always a challenge batting against him, but always good to have him in your side.
Fair enough. 10 and 11 almost come as a pair, I believe.
Well, they do, yes. Slaughter and Grids played an awful lot of cricket with both of them over a long period of time. I deal with, to be fair, they'll both be moaning if one of them was 10 and one of them was 11. But with the cricket that I played with them, probably wouldn't separate them really on runs scored. Both on their day could score runs, but equally as unreliable with the bat, you know. So what you got out of those two was the bonus in the time that I played cricket with them. Slaughts, obviously, early on in his career, scored fair few runs, I think with Southend to start with, then on to Headley, then came to the old boys. But with us, was really in the side for his bowling, so would bat very, very low down. But again, once a year, might get you 20 or 30. And the same with grids at 11. But
Right, sorry, mate. Yeah, it just cut out for a sec.
I'm still here.
Yeah, good. So, yes, Slaught's
So
bowling was?
Sorry, Slaugh?
Dave's bowling. We're on.
Dave's bowling. Yeah, he was, to be honest, the two spinners, when, you know, if we got a total down at Southchurch Park, I would just get the two spinners on as early as I could. I wouldn't worry too much. If you got 200 on the board, you know, people still rib me now for picking fast bowlers or medium pace bowlers in the side. You know, why did I bother? So a lot of the time we just used to open the bowling with slaughts and grids. But that was in the days where you didn't necessarily have to take the new ball.
Right, yeah.
So that rather spoilt it. When the new ball had to be taken, it almost spoilt it for us, because we would open with slaughts and grids, old ball, and then once you got 5 or 6 wickets down, you'd take the new ball and bring the quickies on. Yeah. And it was always a good formula that won us a lot of cricket matches over the years.
And grids as a bowler?
Grids as a bowler is probably underrated with oppositions, not by people that he plays with, but oppositions. I think they underrate grids because he actually didn't turn the ball much. But with grids, it was all in the flight and the pace.
Very good at using crease, I thought.
Yeah, his angle used to change. Yeah. So he would change his angles. He would vary his pace a lot. And a lot of the time the batsman would think that there was going to be more happening than there actually was. But if you look at Grids' career, he's got so many people out where people have thought they'd have a go at him and they haven't quite managed to. And that's all to do with the flight of the ball. Yeah,
and a very, very clever bowler, Mike, as you say, underrated by a lot of people who play against him.
Yeah, it's a shame really that he's probably 3 or 4 years younger than me. I think he's probably 46, 47, and probably hasn't played as much cricket as he should in the last 10 years because of his various jobs that he does. Obviously, cause him sort of issues getting away to play, but would have got an awful lot more wickets had he sort of turned up on time. You know, being able to play every week, it would have helped him a lot more. But a really, really good person to have in your side. And when you look at that, there's 3 slow bowlers. What an asset! Most teams, spinners win your game of cricket in the Essex League, whatever league you play in. If you've got 3 good spinners, you don't really need a lot more.
No, that's it. Well, as we go back to 2 all-rounders, would Ben and Joe take the new ball?
Yeah. Yeah, I would probably say that. Well, to be fair, I've got 4 people that would take the new ball. To be fair, in fact, 5. It just would depend on. I've sort of thought about that, and it would depend on conditions, because you work it out. You've got Ben, yeah. So on a hard, fast track, Ben running in with the wind behind him can be a handful. Yeah, nipping it about slightly. You've got Joe perhaps doing the same, but just back of a length a little bit more than what Ben would be.
Yeah.
Again, nipping it around. And then you've got his dad, Steve, swinging the ball. So at Southchurch Park, you've got the tied in. Steve used to be a handful, swinging the ball. So that's an option. And then you've got Beckett and Blackmore, both medium quick bowlers who'd seen the ball. Both of them swinging it. So I'm spoilt for choice, really.
So you and Wobbly stand at slip, let the others, you do the bowling.
No, Wobbly would definitely not be at slip. Wobbly would be fine leg.
Fair enough.
Because I wouldn't want to listen to him unless I had to. But again, Wobbly's there. If anything happens to your wicket keeper, you've got a really good replacement to come in. So when I look at that side, I just think really, really well covered. I think that would be a hard side to beat locally. It'd be great to put it together on if we could wind the clock back virtually and have that as a side.
When you said to me about grids might be a bit high at 11, if it came down to grids batting, something's gone wrong that side, because you shouldn't need Slaughter and Grids to bat with that batting
absolutely
lineup.
Yeah. And then there was some other people that sort of sprung to mind who I just couldn't get in the side. You've got people like Ian Heiser.
Yeah.
Ian was a big cricketer for Southend for many, many years, captained the club, but I just couldn't find a place for him in that 11. You've got stalwarts like, Johnny Heiser. I didn't really play a lot of cricket with Johnny, but highly competitive. Yeah. I played a few games against him in his latter part of his career. But, I hear stories of Johnny being, a great player when he was younger. And then you've got, people like Ken Porter, Peter Norris. Peter Norris played for both clubs. Really good opening bowler. But, I'm going back 30 years. So, people wouldn't... But there's lots of people that I could have included. I would challenge anyone who says there's better people to come in than the 11 that I've picked there. Obviously, because we could only do overseas players that had been here for a period of time.
Yeah, that's right. If you get an overseas, say a Farhad Masood or a Mongia who played for you, you expect them to be top quality, don't you? And you get that.
Yeah, I must admit, when I started writing this, I didn't. I didn't actually read your bit about non overseas who've flown in for the year because Mongia was my first wicket keeper.
Well, and he would have knocked Test.
He would have knocked Dave Johnston off. Having seen him keep wicket, he stood up to a guy called Duncan Raggett. I don't know whether you remember Duncan Raggett. Duncan on his day was quick, and Mongia was just standing up to him while we were 30 yards back at slip. And taking the ball down the leg side and stumping people. So he would have made the side comfortable.
Yeah. Well, it's, as you say, it's a good side. You've got all bases covered there, Chris, I think. And
I think so. And as I say,
it's a pretty good social side as well.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It'd be great if we could reenact it and all have a nice beer afterwards, because there's certainly some tales to be told from that 11.
Yeah, I think some of those tales are best not shared on a clip that could go public. Might get a few into trouble, maybe.
Yeah, no, I think some of them perhaps.
No, that's great. Well, Chris, thank you very much for your time. It's been good to speak to you.
That's all right. It's enjoyable. It's good to reminisce.
Yeah.
Just while I'm on, I'd like to obviously wish everyone at Southend Cricket Club or Southend Necker Monarchs Cricket Club all good health, and let's hope that next season is a season where you get a bit of stability back into the club and enjoy a really good season. Just a bit of advice to everyone. All clubs go through tough times. Yeah, I've been through it many times with Old Southendian and Southchurch. The important thing is you all stick together and continue to enjoy each other's company. And when things are tough, it tests people's loyalty. So stick together, and I'm sure over the next few years, when all the youngsters start to come through, the club will be back as in a higher league than what they are now.
Yeah, we seem to be turning a corner slowly. It's going to take a little bit of time, but as you say, got the right people involved, and people enjoyed the summer. So things it's going to take time, but we'll get there.
Yep,
we'll get there.
Yeah, and good luck. And if at any time anyone needs any help or advice, even though we were the enemy from across the park, you've got my number. You can always give me a call.
Thank you very much, Chris. Appreciate your time. Great to speak to you. Thank you very much.
All right, talk soon.
Take care, mate. Cheers.
Bye. Bye.